Good morning, and welcome to the Alameda Connection on KCSM HD2. I'm your host, Scott Piehler. If you've listened to the show for any length of time, or followed my work on the Alameda Postcast or my writings at alamedapost.com, you'll know that I am an unapologetic supporter of Alameda's beer scene. The Bay Area's island city may only be 10.5 square miles of land, but we're blessed with numerous bars and restaurants, 3 tap rooms that display an unmatched variety of beers. Plus, Alameda is the source for one of the main ingredients in all of the best beers in all of Northern California and beyond, namely the malt from Admiral Maltings. In addition to all that, we have 3 award-winning breweries. Out on Alameda Point, there's Faction Brewing, with its large event space and unmatched views of San Francisco. And of course, Almanac Adventureland, which is re-examining the question of just what should the brewery experience be. The East End has its very own brewery, Alameda Brewing. Formed in 2015 as Alameda Island Brewing Company, a rebrand in 2024 changed the name and brought in a new brewmaster, Justin Green. In 2025, that new team brought home a silver medal from the World Beer Cup for Burma Ale, a Gruit beer, a style so ancient it predates the use of hops. My guest today is Vincent Phua, the general manager and managing member of Alameda Brewing. We'll talk about that journey to the silver medal and just what it takes to be a successful brewery in a time when brewing great beer is only a small part of the successful equation. That's Vincent Phua, general manager and managing member of Alameda Brewing. This morning, the Alameda Connection on KCSM HD2. Good morning, Vincent, and welcome to the Alameda Connection.
Good morning.
So, a little bit of history of the company. Some folks out there may be going, isn't that Alameda Island? Let's talk a little bit about the history of Alameda Brewing.
We started back in 2015 as Alameda Island Brewing Company. It was a partnership between my family and another family, as some may know as the Foxes. So that started back in 2015. So we actually originally wanted to be called Alameda Brewing Company back in 2015, but there was an Alameda Brewing Company up in the Alameda neighborhood in Portland, Oregon. That is how we ended up with throwing in the word island in there. But obviously, with such a long name as Alameda Island Brewing Company, which is 13 syllables long, we said, let's shorten it. So over time, we've been shortening it. And finally, we were able to obtain the rights to say Alameda Brewing.
So, and Alameda Brewing up in Portland, they went out of business, or what happened?
Yeah, they did go out of business back, I believe, in 2018. You'll have to fact check me on that.
Okay, that's fair enough. Talk about your journey to Alameda Brewing. Let's start with what's your educational background from there to here?
I studied industrial engineering as my bachelor's degree back at Cal Poly SLO. I graduated in 2015. I worked in tech for about 5 or so years, and eventually I joined the family business. I actually joined the brewery full-time, I want to say, towards the end of 2023. So we've been at it for the last 2.5 years. While I was general manager of the brewery, I was also doing my MBA at Berkeley part-time, and I just finished 6 months ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I remember when my wife finished hers, there was much to celebrate.
Yes, I'm glad I have some time back to myself after that.
Craft beer in general has been in a bit of a downturn. How has Alameda Brewing adjusted to changing market conditions?
Craft beer before COVID was a very different time back then, right? You could open up a brewery, you could have the most uncomfortable seats in the world, you could have bare bones, and people would come. Right. They say, oh, wow, it's craft beer, I would love it, blah, blah, blah. But since COVID, right, I think people's tastes have changed a little bit. The way that they've gone out has changed, right? Because for those 2 years or so of COVID, when there were shutdowns and lockdowns, etc., I think there was a generation of people that forgot how to go out, right? And to socialize with people out in bars, out in clubs, wherever. Since then, I think a lot of craft breweries have had to rethink how they approach the business. Beforehand, you could open up bare bones and you would have people flood your place, but now it's different. You have to actually provide amenities. You have to provide a comfortable place to sit down and to enjoy. You have to think more of the entire retail experience. Okay. Because beforehand, it was more of a, if you build it, they will come attitude. But now it's just like any other restaurant, just like any other bar. You need to think of it from a holistic perspective.
Here on the island, Almanac has carved out the family thing. Faction has become the de facto large event space. And oh, by the way, we have a great view of San Francisco. Where do you see Alameda Brewing fitting in? What does Alameda bring to the Alameda table?
We had to think about that for a while. We want to make sure that we tie ourselves more and more into the Alameda community. And I think we had forgotten how to do that. For a while, we had just existed on the if you build it, they will come attitude, which is not the way that a brewery should be operating in this day and age. We've been kind of straddling this position in the middle, right? We do host events. We do invite groups over to host their events. Say, for example, Faction and Almanac and the other spaces down on the base, they have larger spaces. They are trying to position themselves as a destination.
Sure.
There's two ways to approach this. One is you have to position yourself as a destination. The other is to become more of a fixture in your neighborhood. That is what we are trying to be, is that fixture in the neighborhood where people want to say, oh, let's go down the street and grab a beer here.
Out on the base, there may be a lot of travelers, a lot of tourists. Are you seeing regulars? Have you become, the place?
We've always had regulars. We've had some that they're proud to say they visited since the second day because obviously they didn't want to deal with the crowd rush on the first day. So they've been with us since 2015. So it's been 11 years since some of these customers have been coming in. We definitely have some loyal customers, but obviously we would like to make sure that we're the place to walk to, the local brewery to walk to for Alamedans.
What has been the impact of being right next to Fixque Barbecue? We had Rekka on the show, and when a place blows up nationally, what kind of effect was that?
Oh my God, the tables would just fill up, boom, like that. You have to make sure if you ever work that bar shift, you have to make sure you're not hungry because you smell that food, you're like, oh man, I gotta get some of this barbecue. It's great. They're craft barbecue, right? They're only open for a limited amount of time, limited amount of stock because there's just so much work that goes into barbecue. So within that 2 to 3 hour window on Saturday and Sundays, and shout out Wednesday afternoons.
My favorite time to go to both of the locations is to go to yours and to them is that Wednesday night thing. That's the locals only secret.
That is a sweet spot. So for anyone listening to this podcast, you are getting a sneak preview as to when is the best time to go. So you don't have to wait 1 hour in line. You come in and for those 2 hours, we are packed. There's a lot of people just talking, eating barbecue, having a great time. It's a great way to attract people to the brewery as well.
And people can bring their own food to you because you're not a restaurant, you're a brewery.
So you can bring your barbecue there. You can bring your food from other restaurants nearby as well. For example, I'll give a shout out to Monkey King at the brewery as well. If you want your fried chicken or fries, perfect place to eat at.
My dog likes to point out that you have treats.
Yes. Yes, we have some very loyal dog customers as well.
My dog once almost got into an argument with somebody because the treat jar was empty.
Well, I'll make sure that doesn't happen again.
By the way, thanks for adding pinball machines because I really needed another reason to spend my money.
As I mentioned earlier, right, we cannot just offer just products. We cannot just offer just beer and expect people to come, right? We also need other fixtures and amenities and other things to make sure people enjoy their time at the brewery. So.
Is there a typical Alameda Brewing customer or is it all over the map?
I don't think there is a real typical profile of the Alameda Brewing customer. A lot of them like to walk there, but there's plenty that also drive there as well. A lot of our customers come from both Alameda and Oakland. There is no brewery in East Oakland, so a lot of them will actually come over to Alameda. We are the closest brewery to East Oakland at this time.
2025 World Beer Cup. Burma Ale gets a silver. A gold and bronze going to breweries in Japan. First of all, describe what a Gruit is. And second of all, how in the world did you decide to brew this?
Long story. A Gruit is a tea beer. It is a historical beer brewed with alternative ingredients.
Because it literally predates hops. The style is ancient.
You are very knowledgeable, yes. So it uses a lovely blend of chamomile, galangal, which is a blue ginger, orange peel, and lemongrass.
Okay.
It was brewed in conjunction with the Burma Love chain. So you're familiar with Burma Superstar.
Right.
So they have around 7 or 8 locations under that Burma Love umbrella. And so it's brewed with the intention of being paired with a lot of fermented and spicy foods.
And it does match exquisitely well.
It also beautifully matches as well with thick skew as well, because they do have Indonesian sides. The Indonesian sides also fall under this hot, spicy profile, which pairs really well with that Burma Ale as well.
As I call them the hop wars, have settled a bit, we were getting to a point where the higher the IBU, the more people liked it. And I think people finally got tired of that. You've focused on some really classic styles. Every brewery and tap room on the island's got some great beers. But I want to talk about something that some of the beer snobs may overlook. Your beer, Let It Lager, which is a straight up lager. It is probably the best lager I've ever had. And I say that very honestly. It takes a while to make. And the reason I bring this up, I will judge a brewery on a Mexican, on a lager, or on a blonde because there is nowhere for the brewer to hide. So Let It Lager.
Let It Lager is a German lager and is made with 100% of the malt from Admiral Malting, which is right across the island.
We've had Ron on the show. He's wonderful.
Ron is a wonderful,
amazing.
wonderful person. I adore Ron. Let It Lager was kind of a statement from Justin, the head brewer.
Justin Green?
Yes, Justin Green. And he had said, we have all this tank space. We might as well flex it.
Okay.
We might as well show off that we have this tank space, which is why he said, I will come up with a beer that will lager for 6 weeks. So that is the genesis of where Let It Lager came from.
I think I was talking to Justin once. He was telling me that most of the breweries in the area will do maybe 3-4 weeks. And that extra 2 weeks just adds a finish that's amazing.
It was Justin's way of showing off. Oh, I have all this. We have 17 fermenters of 40 barrels that can contain up to 40 barrels of beer each. A lot of people don't realize how much beer this brewery can actually produce.
Really?
Let It Lager was kind of Justin Green's way of showing off how much capacity we can do.
When I moved out here from the East Coast, you were one of the first breweries I encountered that actually carried a Hefeweizen. Not a common style in California, but you've had it and it stays on the tap list. What keeps it brewing?
Because of our large system, a lot of our beers are actually dictated by what our wholesale customers actually need or actually demand. As you mentioned, there's only maybe 2 or 3 year-round Hefeweizens that are brewed in the Bay Area, and ours is one of the only 2 or 3. As long as our wholesale customers keep ordering this Hefeweizen, we can still produce it. Taproom can only push so much of this Hefeweizen around. Sure. So we do rely on what our bar customers or what our restaurant customers want. If you want to see a year-round Hefeweizen, you don't have to keep just ordering from us. You can order from any of our customers as well. That's what keeps it going. That was actually the first beer I actually named back in 2016, I want to say.
And it's Hef D.
Hef D. I thought about renaming it a couple times because, you know, it sounds like Hef.
Right.
It sounds like a big beer, but it's not. It's a delicious Hefeweizen.
You have one beer on the tap list, Behemoth, which is an imperial pastry stout that's 10.3 ABV, alcohol by volume. Almost everything else on the menu hovers around 5%, and more than a few are 4.7, 4.8. Is that kind of the sweet spot?
You nailed it. A lot of our beers fall within that 4.5 to 7% mark. It is dictated by our wholesale customers. Once you get past that 7% alcohol by volume standpoint from that threshold, it becomes a lot harder to push these kinds of beers, which is why we try to keep it below 7%. If we go lower than, say, 4.5 or 4%, then people feel like we're cheating them out of beer. If I'm going to get a beer, I want something at least 4.5%. That's typically what customers want.
You know you're having a beer, but you're also able to function after having to.
Behemoth, I intentionally tell my bartenders that they cannot be serving that in a full 16.
No. No. How do you decide what to brew? You've talked about your system does dictate a few things, but I mean, does Justin pop into the office one day and go, hey, I got an idea? Or, you know, is it market research? Is it somebody has an idea? What is it?
Typically, for the longest time, brewers have always kind of done this thing where they say, oh, I'm going to make this beer, you deal with it. But obviously, you know, in most corporate functions, usually the sales or marketing does their research and then they dictate and tell production what to do. The craft beer industry has been kind of counterculture to a certain point. You know, the Mad Wizards come up with their concoctions and they say, okay, you sell it, you figure it out. The good thing about working with Justin is that we are both on the same page in the sense that we want to make sure that whatever we brew will sell.
Right.
And we have a fantastic sales manager that came on board last year, and he has done a phenomenal job with our wholesale team. We also listen to him. So if he says, I think I can sell this, we will listen. In the end, beer is very cyclical in
Sure.
terms of its trend. First, we started off with pale ales. Then we went over to IPAs, then double IPAs, then hazy IPAs.
Right.
Now it's kind of coming to the circle point within the last couple of years where we're starting to see more lagers, more pilsners, which is a couple of the beers you've mentioned already. That's where a lot of our production is actually going towards, is this lager and pilsner route.
Core lineup versus changing taps. What's the core, and then how many taps are left over for, we're going to try something?
So right now we're sitting at between 6 to 8 different core beers, and then that gives us a little bit more room to flex for fun stuff. So you had mentioned the Behemoth, right? That is a fun one. We get to play around with different West Coast IPAs and different hazies using these really fun hops and different yeast strains that we haven't been able to really play around with before, that have been becoming very popular and coming into its own form. So if you come to the brewery, oftentimes you'll see a lot of our seasonal or rotational products. Those ones will typically use these sexy or fun hops.
You're also making a hard seltzer.
So people's tastes have changed, right? People are going out less, but people also want other alcohol options. So the nice thing about the brewery is that we have a Type 23 license, which allows us to manufacture seltzers as well. We are not allowed to manufacture ciders or wines, but we are allowed to manufacture seltzers.
Okay.
So this kind of scratches that itch for people that come in and says, I don't want a beer.
Right.
What else do you have? And we can offer a pink lemonade seltzer,
which is really good. I've had
it is very addictive.
For folks who don't drink beer or don't drink in general, what else can someone have if they're going along? Somebody says, hey, come on, I'm going out for a beer. Well, okay, fine, I'll come.
We do have a selection of non-alcoholics. We have been experimenting more recently with a wider variety of seltzer-based cocktails. You had mentioned earlier the pink lemonade seltzer. We are building out that program right now. Because in the end, people want different things. If we have 4 customers that come in and one of them doesn't drink beer, we need to make sure that that 4th customer is catered to and make sure that they're happy, or else they will drive the other 3 to go somewhere else that has a non-beer option.
We talked earlier about Ron and Admiral Maltings. What is it like having that resource on the island as a brewery? Because for folks who may have missed when we talked to Ron, literally all the best beers in NorCal have Admiral Maltings in them. So what is that, having that relationship so close?
I think it's a real special relationship because we are literally on the same island. Theoretically, we could simply just truck it straight from his malting space over to the brewery, and we can dump it into the brew house the very next day. It's a real special relationship because Ron is a fantastic person in general, and he's so fun to talk to.
Beer, as has been said, I think was Jim Cook of Sam Adams, beer is like bread. Fresh counts.
It is absolutely very true. Most product, when it comes to malt, is typically at least a couple months old because of the supply chain, because they have to bring it in from Canada, Minnesota, or elsewhere in the world. They have to bring it in, and the months add up real quick. The beauty about Admiral Maltings is that he can just go out to the farms, maybe just within 100 miles of here, bring them in and rake them on the floor.
What is your relationship with the other brewers on the island? Is it friendly competition? Is it enemies?
I think the beauty about craft beer, especially in the Bay Area, is that everyone knows each other. It's a very collaborative environment, which I think a lot of Bay Area beer people love to show off. The fact that if I run out of hops, if I'm in a pinch, I need a yeast pitch or hops, we can hit up other breweries and say, hey, I need to get this done. I ran out temporarily. Can I borrow it?
Right.
And then later on, we'll bring back a yeast pitch or return hops in one way, shape, or form. It's a good collaborative environment. They're not competition in that sense.
We had Mike and Carrie from Semi Freddy's Bakery on the show, and they were pointing out that even in the semi-secretive world of sourdough baking, that you'd be shocked how many people you're getting your bread from actually have starter from Semi Freddy's, because people will call them up and just say, hey, we had a problem with our fridge, our starter went bad. Yeah, we'll be right there.
I think it's something that we don't really necessarily display it up front, but behind the scenes, there's a lot of collaboration that happens.
How was the rock and roll beer stroll for y'all?
Fantastic. After the rock and roll beer stroll, people stroll on over afterwards. Yeah, so it's a good time.
And will you be at the Art and Wine Fair, which is coming up?
Yes, we will. We work closely with Kathy and the rest at the Downtown Alameda Business
Yeah,
Association.
Kathy was just on a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
She was
nice.
looking forward to it.
It's very hectic for us, but the result is worth it. We get to introduce our beer to Alamedans and beyond.
Right.
And since we're right there in the middle of the Art and Wine Fair, we are a pit stop for a lot of people as well.
Favorite beers that are not yours?
I'll start off with one, Death and Taxes from Moonlight Brewing.
Okay.
It's a black lager. It is known as the de facto black lager
Okay.
of the Bay Area. Other brewers can try, including us. We can try and brew a black lager, but
Right.
Death and Taxes is kind of the gold standard when it comes to that. So shout out to them.
What kind of events are coming up at Alameda Brewing? What should we be on the lookout for?
Right now, we are featuring the World Cup at our place. Have you been to any of our events in the warehouse recently?
I have not.
We've turned the warehouse in the back into an event space. So we've been rolling out a First Friday event. We've been rolling out comedy nights. We've been rolling out wrestling. It's a real fun environment. When you have that many people in the back, it is a lot of fun to just cheer on your wrestlers. For First Friday, we host it in conjunction with different organizations.
Mm-hmm.
For June, we held it in conjunction with the Alameda Pride Foundation, with Jeremy and the wonderful group at Alameda Pride. It was full house, packed. It was a lot of fun. We had a drag show. I think everyone had a lot of fun there.
So it's first Friday of each month?
Yes.
By the time we're on the air, July will have gone by. What's coming up in August?
The first week of August is Coast Guard Day.
Ah.
We are working right now to partner with our coasties that we love in Alameda. We'll host an event with them.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we try to theme it. Every first Friday should be themed. Otherwise, if it's the same thing every time, I think people lose interest. So you have to keep the programming interesting. So this time we'll be partnering with the Coast Guard.
Here is an idea for an event that I have pitched before to people in the brewing field. I figured it out, did a little mapping. Alameda Brewing to Faction to Almanac is a 10K. Now, if you were to end it at Faction, you could also include Park Station and Humble Sea. So I'm seeing the Alameda Beer 10K.
The Pentagon of Alameda. That's a good idea. I think there is some sort of...
Yeah, there is a 5K connected to the
There is a 5K, but I do believe that
City.
is up at the base.
So I'm saying let's just go the whole island.
Honestly, that's not a bad idea. That'll probably take a few years off my life to plan, but
probably. What is the best compliment you've ever received about the business? That's one thing that just when you go to sleep at night, you go, yeah, that person said that thing.
I actually was just approached about this the other day. What's really fun, I think for any restaurant or bar owner will attest to this, is that you talk to the customers and some of these people will say, I've been here since day one. I've been here since day two and I love this place. And please, whatever you're doing, it's great. We love this place. That's really like the little pat on the back that really helps to keep us going in this kind of business. Because honestly, craft beer is on a downturn. It's a tough business to be in. So it's all these little compliments. So the next time you go to a brewery, if you're listening, you go to a brewery, just compliment the owner, to any restaurant owner, saying, hey, you're doing a fantastic job. We love this place. And I think the service industry really can thrive off this type of positivity because it is a hard business after all.
A lot of talk now as we're reconnecting after the isolation of COVID has been of the importance of the third space. And that is really what you've become.
So we've always positioned ourselves as the third space, but I think we did not know for a while how to do it. Over the last 2 years, I think, the last 2 years or so, Scott, you've been in the brewery. You've seen it. It's every time you walk in, you're like, did that change? Did that change? Right? For us, it's about continuous improvement, trying to make sure that this place is somewhere that people actually want to hang out in. Running events as well, just to make sure that we stay relevant within the Alameda community. Community building, it may be a bit overused at times, but it really is about what the brewery is and should be about, is being a part of Alameda, being a fixture of Alameda. And it's a learning curve for me.
Certainly.
It's a learning experience for all of us. And, the more events and the more we become tied with the community, whether it's through, Alameda Connection, partnering with local nonprofits and foundations or other businesses, that's the way that, Alameda Brewing should be going to in order to become recognized as that third space.
It reminds me of something that Kevin Scholes from Almanac told me when he was on the show, which was that, as you talked about earlier, it used to be you opened up a brewery and everybody came because it was craft beer. Now it's a larger experience. You still have to make phenomenal beer, but that may be number 4 on the list when you're actually putting the whole plan together.
Yes, that is correct. It is true. It's the full experience. It is the full experience. And I think especially in the Bay Area, we have a lot of fantastic beer, a lot of fantastic breweries winning medals everywhere, here and there. And there's a lot of fantastic beer. So we have to be able to stand out because
Right.
at this point in time, I think a lot of Bay Area people will agree that we're spoiled for good.
Oh, yes, most
So
definitely.
so yeah, it's about a matter of providing, as you mentioned, that third space, a matter of providing a place that people want to be at and enjoy and call it kind of as their own.
All right, here's the question every guest on the show gets. You have company coming in from out of town. You have to take them to 3 meals in Alameda. It can be breakfast, lunch, dinner. It can be 3 dinners. It can be small bites and noshes. What 3 restaurants are you taking your guests to? And of course, we have the full understanding every time I ask this question. We also know that there's choices 4 through 205, and they're all equally legitimate. But what 3 are you going to?
For me, because I'm on Park Street, I do have a bit of a bias because I prefer places that are within walking distance of
Okay.
work. So first and foremost, Fix Skew.
Okay.
They do a phenomenal Texas barbecue with Indonesian sides, which is a combination that you do not experience in pretty much most of the U.S., if not the world.
And do not sleep on the beef cheeks. Oh, they're wonderful.
The beef cheeks.
Yeah, that's a recent menu addition. It is delightful.
You are on top of things. Second of all, I would say is Ollie's Waffles.
Okay.
Ollie's, fantastic diner. They've been doing the same thing. They've been churning out the same thing for years, but it's the same classic diner food. It's just the environment that you're in that makes it fantastic. Number 3, I would go Burma Superstar,
Okay.
Alameda. Their original premise is not that big, but they have a parklet that doubled their footprint,
Right.
and it's fantastic, and it's a real nice place to be at.
That is my daughter and son-in-law's go-to celebration place.
Good. Okay. So glad we're in agreement on that.
So, websites, socials, ways people can keep up with what's going on at Alameda Brewing.
You can visit our website at alamedabrewing.co, or you can go to our Instagram at Alameda Brewing CO.
And we can also search on Facebook there too.
Yep.
All right, we'll find that out. Vincent Phua from Alameda Brewing, thank you so much for spending time with us here on the Alameda Connection.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Scott.
Take care. Thanks again to Vincent Phua, General Manager and Managing Member of Alameda Brewing, for spending time with us this morning here on the Alameda Connection. If you want to keep up with everything going on with Alameda Brewing, you can head to their website. That's alamedabrewing.co. Don't worry if you type in .com, it will simply redirect you to alamedabrewing.co. On Instagram, their handle is Alameda Brewing CO, and search and find them on Facebook as well. As we discussed, you'll find Alameda Brewing at the annual Alameda Art and Wine Fair. That's coming up the last weekend of July, July 25th and 26th. And as Vincent noted, you can join Alameda Brewing for First Fridays, the first Friday of every month. Coming up Friday, August 7th, their focus will be on our very own Coasties, as they collaborate with and pay tribute to the Coast Guard. Coming up next Sunday on the Alameda Connection, if you live in Alameda or are thinking about moving to Alameda, you've probably noticed that the Alameda real estate scene is something of a unique creature. From the grandeur of the Gold Coast to the mid-century suburban charm of the East End to brand new state-of-the-art construction, navigating real estate in Alameda is a challenge. My guest next week is someone who's made a career of navigating those challenges, Realtor Sally Hahn of Eastside West Realty. We'll talk about what makes the Alameda real estate market unique in the Bay Area. And we'll pick up some tips on how, whether you're a buyer or a seller, how you can maximize your opportunities for real estate in Alameda. That's Sally Hahn of Eastside West Realty next week on the Alameda Connection. If you're new to the show and would like to check out past episodes, the easiest way to do that is to head to my YouTube channel, where all of the previous episodes are archived. That YouTube channel is at The Alameda Connection. You can also catch up on episodes that you may have missed by adding The Alameda Connection to your podcast feed. It's available on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. The best way to keep up with what's happening on the Alameda Connection is to follow the show on Instagram. That Instagram handle is Alameda Connection. If you have an idea for a guest on an upcoming episode, please feel free to send me an email. That email address is alamedaconnection@gmail.com. And if you think you might be a good guest, don't be shy. Let me know. Thanks to the California Historical Radio Society for providing this week's location for my sit-down with Vincent Phua. Speaking of the California Historical Radio Society, if you're listening to this episode on the original broadcast or in the first week on the KCSM Encore player, I hope you come by Radio Day by the Bay, Saturday, July 18th at the California Historical Radio Society. I'll be participating in their live radio play. It's an episode of The Thin Man called The Goofy Groom. I'll be playing the groom. Thanks as always to Bill Hart for our theme music. The song is called Beachside Isle, and the album is Watch the Sky. I'm Scott Piehler. I'll catch you next Sunday morning, 8 a.m., the Alameda Connection, right here on KCSM HD2.